Hey everybody, welcome to other games that annoy me to no end. In this particular case, I am talking about a general category of games, not necessarily one particular one, but this video will also serve as a review of Sniper Elite 4. Because the simple fact of the matter is that I have absolutely no enthusiasm for reviewing Sniper Elite 4. Not because it's a bad game. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually a pretty decent one. The problem is that I've basically already reviewed it. The game is nearly identical to Sniper Elite 3, except it has better visuals, the AI was very slightly improved, they've made some very slight tweaks to the X-ray system to where now it includes shrapnel kills and things like that. They brought back the co-op mode from Sniper Elite V2, they made the maps a bit bigger than Sniper Elite 3, and they set the game in Italy. That's pretty much it. It has such slight improvements over the previous game that about the most interesting thing I can say about it is that it runs ridiculously well, and that is legitimately impressive. I'm running an i7 4790K, 16 gigs of RAM, and a GTX 1080. Far from the most powerful system out there right now. And even by the time this game released, it wasn't the most powerful system out there either. And yet, with the graphics absolutely maxed out in DirectX 12 mode, I am getting well over 100 frames per second at all times. Usually it's in the neighborhood of 120 to 160, and that is legitimately impressive. So I absolutely have to applaud the developers on that. They have done a fantastic job optimizing the living crap out of this game, and honestly, that kind of optimization should be the industry standard. But other than that, I really can't think of much to say about Sniper Elite 4 that I haven't already said about Sniper Elite 3. Supposedly they improved the AI, but it still vacillates between being either ridiculously stupid to the point of being dumber than a sack of hammers, and being able to spot you from half a mile away and suddenly being pinpoint accurate from that distance with submachine guns. I will say that the spotting seems a bit more consistent than Sniper Elite 3, but it's not such a substantial change that I really noticed it all that much. Everything else they did basically just takes what the previous two games did and cleans it up very slightly and makes it slightly more refined, and thus makes it more accessible to a newer audience. But people who've already played the previous games are gonna feel like this is basically the exact same game all over again. They even go in with the same premise. Oh look, the Nazis are developing another super weapon. Guess we need to send Carl Fairburn in as the one lone badass who can stop it. Not that it really matters all that much, because the story in the Sniper Elite games has never been particularly interesting, and it's no exception here either. But that's beside the point. The point is that, while Sniper Elite 4 is nothing remotely resembling a bad game or a worse game than Sniper Elite 3, it's not a substantially better one either. Sure, you could make the argument, and be completely correct, that Sniper Elite 4 is technically the best game in the Sniper Elite series to date, but it's by such a thin margin that it's not going to get a better score than Sniper Elite 3. I'm still going to give it a 3 out of 5 overall. And as such, there's basically two kinds of people this game is going to appeal to. Either people who are trying to get into the Sniper Elite series for the first time and just want the easiest to get into experience that's the most refined, or people who already like the Sniper Elite series and just want more of that. Of course, those of you in the audience will probably be saying, okay, what's wrong with that? Nothing. There is nothing wrong with that. And that's the problem. This is the exact kind of sequel that annoys the living shit out of me. Something that is just decent. It's nothing particularly amazing. It's nothing particularly bad. It just coasts along from its predecessor, which was also decent. Nothing particularly amazing. Nothing particularly bad. They might make a few changes and tweaks here and there that will overall be improvements over the predecessor, but they're such slight changes you don't really notice them. And since they don't do anything truly different and unique with this one that sets it apart from its predecessors, you just feel like you're playing the same game all over again. There's nothing inherently wrong with that per se, but it's so fucking boring to talk about. When a game does something that is unique compared to its predecessors, then you can talk about that. You can make interesting discussions out of it. You can do the same thing if a game does something much worse than its predecessors or much better than its predecessors. But if it's just more of the same on pretty much the exact same quality level with some very slight improvements at best, there's not really anything to talk about there. I mean, think about this for a second. The most interesting thing I can say that is specific to Sniper Elite 4 compared to its predecessors is that it is just ridiculously well optimized and thus runs ridiculously well. And sure, that's a good thing and it's well worth praising, but that's really not all that interesting. I'd much rather wax poetic about just how great a game's story is, or how great its mechanics are, or how much they've improved things over a game's predecessor. But with a sequel like Sniper Elite 4, I really can't do that. It's such incremental changes over the previous game that unless you're really familiar with the series, you're not gonna notice them all that much, and a general audience isn't going to care. And every single time I run across a game like this when I'm working on a review, I run into the exact same dilemma. I get bored playing it, because unless it's something I really enjoyed the previous game of, I'm not really going to be all that interested in just more of the same. I'm looking for improvements. I'm looking for something different and unique, and that's not what I'm getting with a game like this. So I really don't have all that much fun playing a game like this, because if I just wanted more of the same, I would go back and play the previous game again. And then when it comes time to review a game like this or do an MTO on it, I don't really have all that much to say about it that I haven't already talked about in my review or MTO of the previous game, so I don't really have fun making the video either. So what exactly do I do with a game like this? Do I just make a full-length review and just go through the motions, have basically no fun making the video, just be incredibly bored with it the whole process, and then that get reflected in the video where people are like, hey, you really don't sound like you're enjoying yourself? Or do I say, work it into a multi-game MTO, or do I just scrap the video entirely? Well, if I've got gameplay footage and I've already put a decent amount of time into something, I don't want to waste all of that effort, and thus I feel obligated to make a video out of it. And if I reviewed the previous game, then I feel pretty obligated to review the new one as well, because I'm like, okay, well, I finished the previous game, I should be able to finish this one too. And thus, what usually ends up happening with a game like this is that I'll end up reviewing it, and a lot of what I'll be doing in the review is just reiterating things I've already talked about in the previous review, spending a few minutes talking about some of the new stuff, and then at the end of it giving it the exact same score that I gave the previous game. And I feel like that is a complete waste of my time, and it is a complete waste of your time as well. So henceforth, when I run across a game like this, where I've reviewed the previous game and done a full review of that, but the new game is just a Sidegrade sequel like this, then I'm not going to do a full-length review of it. I'm probably not even going to do a full-length MTO of it. I'm going to do a video that basically says, hey, this is a Sidegrade sequel. If you like the previous game, you'll like this one too. Here's some of the new things it does and some of the tweaks it made. And if you want more information about how this plays out, just go watch my previous review. In all of these Sidegrade sequel videos, there will be a link to that review of the previous game that this is a Sidegrade to, so that you can quickly and easily go to that video and get the full rundown about what it plays like. I feel like that'll be a much better use of everyone's time, especially mine because I have such a limited amount of time to work on videos, and getting stuck working on a Sidegrade sequel really heavily cuts into that time that I could be spending working on catching up on the backlog, or finding more truly interesting and unique games to take a look at. Now, of course, this won't have any effect on videos I've already made of games that were basically Sidegrade sequels, but as far as games that I plan on reduxing that happen to be Sidegrade sequels, I have some other ideas that I'm working on with those. So stay tuned for that. But as for Sniper Elite 4 specifically, if you went into this video wanting to know what I had to say about that, like I said, if you liked Sniper Elite 3, you'll like Sniper Elite 4. If you're new to the series, you might as well start with Sniper Elite 4. It's basically the same exact thing I said about Sniper Elite 3 when I reviewed it, except that Sniper Elite 4 is very minimally better than Sniper Elite 3 is. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in later videos.